看起来时间差不多已经到3点了，然后我们就开始吧。然后今天呢，就是我当然是非常开心，就是职场说，就是邀请我来做这么一个speech， 然后我也非常开心，就是我可以给大家分享一下我自己的经验，然后在大概就是这个讲解完成之后呢，我会给大家说一下我的联系方式，就是说如果场下的人有一些什么好的职业就是工作机会，可以欢迎交流。如果你们以后还有更多的问题，或者说有更多的对于我现在的工作的问题，之后也可以联系我。然后今天呢，我想说的是，就是因为毕竟咱们这个工作是介绍在美国的工作嘛，然后我有很多东西就是说中文翻译不过来，所以就是这一整个就是演讲呢，应该就是我会全部用英文讲，就是说如果你们没有问题的话，那我就差不多开始了。就是开始之前我想问一下大家，就是大家能够清楚的看到我的PowerPoint， 还有我听得出来我讲话吗？如果你们任何一个人可以回复的话。OK， 看起来就是工作人员那边也跟我说这是没有问题，那我就开始讲了。Okay, so the agenda for today will be a little bit of self-introduction of what I do, where I graduated from, and stuff like that. And after that, I will give you guys some very basic concepts of what is system analytics, and then I will go over all the required background and skill sets of business system analyst and what do we do, which is the daily responsibilities of BSAs, and my experience as BSA in Deloitte, and BSAs. So where is BSA in Big Four, or where is BSA in other companies such as IT company or manufacturing company, because BSA is literally everywhere. And after that, I'll go over so the practitioners around business system analysis. After that, I'll tell you my interview process of how I got into that position and the career path of business system analyst. And then I will give you guys a brief idea of the salary range of business system analyst. So I will leave all the question and answer at last. So if you have any question, if there's anything that has not been mentioned in my presentation, if you could take notes and ask the questions at the end of the presentation, that'd be really nice. Okay? So yeah, a little bit of self-introduction. So I just graduated from Loyola University Chicago of Master's of Supply Chain Management. Before that, I did my Bachelor's of Business Administration and Financial Planning at Purdue University, West Lafayette. Talking about a little bit of my working experience, I am working as a IT business intelligence consultant at a boutique consulting firm in downtown Chicago, as a lot of friends might already know. And from June 2014 to December 2014, I was a BSA, so Business System Analyst at Deloitte. So the speech is going to be concentrating on my experience at Deloitte. Before that, so from May 2013 to May 2014, so I was a research assistant for a Federal Reserve Bank advisor, and his name is George Kaufman. He teaches at Loyola University. And at the same time, I did about 3 months' work of as a warehouse manager at a very small music supply company called Gamble Music, which is also in Chicago downtown. So soon after I got the offer from Deloitte, I quit that job and joined Deloitte. Okay, so first of all, what is system analysis? System analysis is a problem-solving technique that decomposes the system into its component pieces for the purpose of studying how well those component parts work and interact to accomplish their purpose. So this field is actually very closely related to requirement analysis and operations research. So it's basically breaking down a huge system to small pieces and then, assign those small pieces to the person who will actually work on it. It is also an explicit formal inquiry carried out to help someone identify a better course of action and make a better decision than she might otherwise have made. Additionally, according to the Webster Dictionary, system analysis is the process of studying a procedure or business in order to identify its goals and purposes and create systems and procedures that will achieve them in a very efficient way. Analysis and synthesis as a scientific method always go hand in hand. They complement one another. Every synthesis is built upon the results of a preceding analysis, and every analysis requires a subsequent synthesis in order to verify and correct its results. So it might sound very confusing for a lot of people, but to make it very simple, it is just you are basically a liaison between a bunch of problems and its business results. You are connecting the problems, the systems, to the business results. Okay, so what is a BSA? First of all, a business system analyst is not a programmer, although they may have programming skills and experiences. They are not software testers, so quotation marks QA. So if you guys are from IT industry, you might have heard of this term QA, so the quality assurance. So we do a lot of testing. We do lots of different kinds of testing, but we are not part of the QA team. So we do a lot more work just than doing testing because, as you may already know, if you are testing a website and your job is as a QA, for most of the time, it's very, very boring. And at the same time, it is not a database administrator, but for sometimes a business system analyst could run a lot of queries and model data too. Because, if you are a system analyst for a database system, yes, you will have to know how to run queries and model data because in order to solve the problem or in order to identify all the problems, you needed to know the professional skills. So business system analysts work with business to understand their needs. Just like I said, business system analysis is the liaison between the problems and the business need. So all we do is to achieve a goal. And a lot of times, I would say business system analyst is focusing on IT. It's not 100% on programming department. It's not 100% on developing the department. It's not 100% on consulting department. It's more like, something in between. So business system analysts also use knowledge of IT and specific software skills to help address the change. And like any business assistants, a business analyst, so the business system analyst works with the business to understand the needs, but their specific specialty and focus the business needs related to information technology, just like I said. Okay. Okay. So this slide will go over a little bit of the required background and skill sets of a business system analyst. So first of all, very important soft skills. What I mean by that is writing skills, communication skills, all the skills that you would need it to pass the basic behavioral interview. How to answer a question, your presentation skills, your hand gestures, stuff like that. So overall, you needed to have a pretty good personality to be a business system analyst. So the second required skills is also very important, the facilitation skills. So in IT department, so I'm not sure if you guys know, so a lot of IT department runs a system called Agile methodology. So the Agile methodology is basically a very popular IT project management system. So it runs based on, like very small parts of the entire process. So the agenda of the entire process is always changing, and after probably a month or like a small period of that large project is ending. So we always have a lot of meetings to talk about how to say okay, what is right, what is wrong, what is something that we needed to do, what is something that we needed to change. So the plan is always changing, and at that point of time, the facilitation skills is very important because you are constantly organizing meetings. You're constantly talking to different group of people. So, you have to have that very solid skill of organization and coordination. So the third skill, elicitation skills. So elicitation skills such as questioning techniques to gather information at the right level of detail and scope to represent to all the stakeholders' needs, and the ability to ask questions that leads to an understanding of the business need. It's very, very important. So, put it into a simpler language as the skill to ask questions to lead to the business need. Like for a lot of times, the business users of a website, such as, they don't even know what they need. So they will call you one day. They'll be like, oh, hey, our traffic of the website is not good, and we don't even know how we could improve, but we just feel like there's something needs to be done, right? So obviously we are the first person who will communicate with those people, and we'll be like, okay, so do you think it's the user interface problem or stuff like that? So you ask questions to bring all the business needs, which is increasing the traffic, down to different steps, and you at that point in time figure out, okay, I think I should pass the problem to organize the question first and pass the problem to the development team, or should I just solve it by myself, or there's no problem at all. Okay, so talking about the fourth skills, which is very, very important, the programming techniques. So like I said, you don't really need to be a programmer, but you needed to understand all the language that that particular system is using. So for example, if you are a business system analyst for a SAP managed database system, so everything is sets into SAP's product called Business Warehouse, you needed to know everything from inside out of Business Warehouse. You needed to know, okay, this is a SQL-based database system. You needed to know, okay, this runs on HTML5. So if your system, the system you're working with, requires a particular language, you don't need to be able to write those languages, but if you see a page of lines of codes, you are expected to understand what it is presenting. Okay, next, which is very important too, group work and communication skills. So like I said, business system analysts, we don't do anything, but we do, but all we do is communication. We communicate with the business users. We communicate with the backend software developers. We communicate with QAs. We communicate with other department of this company. So if you don't know how to talk to people, or if you don't know how to address your questions, so your work is going to be a problem. And yes, you will always work as a group. So you will not be the only business system analyst on the team, usually, for most of the cases. And yes, for business writing, last but not least, so business writing, I know it is problem for most of the Chinese students, but for this time, I think it's actually very easy to overcome if you you are willing to conduct some of the business writing courses, because all we write is user stories, on which I will mention later in the daily responsibility part. So we write very concise emails, user experience, and stories, logs, documents, best practices, everything. So it does require you to write English very clearly and briefly. So it's not like really you needed to like write a book with it, but yeah, it needs to be pretty clear. Okay, so this is a little chart just represents of what we do. So as a business system analyst, we talk to stakeholder, we get use case from them, all the questions, all the issues, what is going on, and if they're using the website, like why they're not able to upload the profile pictures, and why I was not able to click this, and we get all the questions from the stakeholder and business users. And so talking about the process and the system, so over here is talking about different kind of business system analyst. So if I sit in a database, so the activity diagram and the class diagram, data dictionary and everything, that's something very closely related to a database business system analyst. And talking about the last one, the user interface, the online forms, navigation, error messages, and usability issues. So that's that is something that a website business system analysts do for a lot. Okay, so this slide will give you guys an idea of about what does a BSA do. So step by step. Okay, so first of all, try not to get too hung up on titles of the business system analyst titles, because in the company, someone in this role may very well just have the title of business analyst or system specialist or system architect, but it is the task and this level of detail that makes a business system analyst a business system analyst. So the business system analyst may work to understand overall business need, create a business case, and then define the requirements using the various approaches such as use cases, then decompose the requirements into a sufficient level of detail, allowing the implementation team to take action. They might just communicate with the business users, or they might just communicate with the developers. So talking about the process of business system analysts they are facing every day. So the first one is planning. The planning related to the task associated with business analysis in the software development lifecycle. So a lot of company right now is, so for the software development lifecycle, they use agile methodology. That is exactly what I use. And the stakeholder analysis, after that, the stakeholder analysis is conducted to identify the stakeholders who will be impacted by the change and understand their influences and the authority levels. So talking about a website, business system website system analysis, so obviously the audiences will be, all the website users, all the people that is looking for a job, everyone that is looking for doing business cooperations with our company, and stuff like that. Okay, so the next steps, risk assessments. So risk assessments using methods to identify risk, probability, and impact, and how to mitigate those risks. Because if you are doing changes of a system, what if the system breaks down? What if the system and the new system has compatibility issues? So you needed to address them and document them. Okay? So the next steps, manage requirements. So you manage requirements to understand the requirements change process, and traceability. So those are varies different in different companies. They use requirement management tools to write those down. They have meetings, and they even have some specialists in system analysts. So only manage requirements. Okay, communicating requirements, including the use of presentation skills and ability to create a requirement package. So this is actually what we do quite often, talking about communication requirements. We usually have meetings every single Wednesday morning. So we are organizing a deck of PowerPoints just to show the manager of other departments, the business user, a deck of a list of business requirements that we got from the stakeholders, and present to them of, okay, what it is, A, B, C, D, F, G, and what is a plan from us to solve these problems. We do that quite often. And then after that, organizational analysis to identify current capability and identify opportunities for improvements. So it does utilize a lot of modeling techniques, such as process modeling, data modeling, and system modeling. So you really needed to know all those techniques in order to do the organizational analysis. Interface analysis. So the understanding of technology infrastructure and how it interconnects. So it including the sharing data to achieve a business goal. So obviously, interface analysis involves with a lot of, I would say, just the overall experience of using this particular software or website. So you do really needed to, first of all, knowing the structure of this database or the website inside out, and really understand, okay, how you can communicate with this system or with this websites. And yes, after you are done all that, obviously you're writing the requirements done. So writing requirements usually use different approaches, such as use cases, activity diagram, sequence diagrams, and state charts, data dictionaries, class or entity relationship diagrams. So for a typical website on requirements writing, so what we did is all based on user stories. So you write stories on someone's perspective to present a requirement. For me, like one of the user story for me could be, as a site visitor, I want to see the website A with a clickable icon that leads me to a free trial version of their company products. So this will be something, requirements that we'll be writing down. And the last but not least, user experience. So as it's very, very close to the writing requirements. So the requirements that we're writing down is pretty much just user experiences, like what they are facing on a certain process and how they click through our websites, and how much time they're supposed to spend on the particular stuff, and how they how they fill out the forms and stuff like that. So those are all user experience, and those are and user experience is actually one of the most things that a website business system analyst cares about. Okay, so for the next couple of slides, I didn't really do the PowerPoint. I just want to keep this conversation very casual. So just want to talk about a little bit of my Deloitte experience. So why did I even choose a BSA as a starting point? So talking about my background, I don't really have a lot of IT background. I was a supply chain management student, so I learned quite a bit of IT courses like data mining, data warehousing, SQL and stuff like that. But like, why didn't I choose supply chain analyst? So like at that point in time, my concern was, if you do a supply chain analyst, so obviously as a loyal student, just be realistic. You cannot just jump right into Amazon or like great companies like it. And at that point in time, as I was looking for jobs, so I found out, talking about my background, which is a mix of business and programming. So the business system analyst was actually a really good place to get into. And talking about BSA and Deloitte, that position that I sit in, so it is a IT position, IT consult, and actually it's an in-house consulting position in Deloitte, but it does not, it's not like a direct value-adding positions. So it's actually fairly easy to get in for me because like I do a lot of behavioral interviews, and I know they don't do a lot of technical tests and everything. So I applied for it, I got in, and that's pretty much why I was a business system analyst at Deloitte. And the second concern of mine is, I got a couple offers last summer, just as, business analyst and everything like that. But the reason why I chose Deloitte is because Deloitte is a really good brand, and I would say anywhere in the United States. So it's going to benefit me more just by that brand. And even though I do not learn anything, as my first job, but fortunately I learned a lot. Okay. Okay, so talking about where BSA sits in Big Four, just like I briefly mentioned, we are not a value-added service line. So if you see all the way at the bottom, so this is actually a organization chart of Deloitte. So if you see at the bottom, so there's 4 service lines that you guys are probably very, very familiar with: the audit, tax, financial advisory services, and consulting. Consulting means management consulting, technology consulting. And we actually sit as the 5th service line, the group support center. So how to say, like, I was actually part of Deloitte's global business service team. So what we do is actually making sure the 150 Deloitte member firms across the globe actually has a centralized technology strategy, has a centralized security management, has a centralized communication and branding and looks and everything. So our clients are actually very special. They're all inside Deloitte. But what we do actually is very similar to consulting, to the technology consulting part. But obviously we don't charge our clients. Okay, how about other companies? So obviously in other companies there will be CIO, and under that there will be administrations, managements, and after that there will be senior managers, there will be vice presidents, there will be principals and everything. And then, talking about the people who are actually working, there will be there will be developers, there will be architects, and then we are actually sitting parallel to the architects, and developers. Okay, salary range as a business system analyst. So if you can see over here the little screenshots, the national average of a system analyst is 73,000 per year, and in Chicago is a little bit lower than that because I would assume in business system analyst is getting higher paid in somewhere California or Silicon Valley, that area. But what I could tell you guys is, so you are not expected to get this right off college. So this is probably a average range after you work for 2 years. So the 73,000 is a pretty fair amount. And senior business system analyst salaries. So a senior business system analyst is basically a more of a technical role. So if you are a business system analyst for a number of years and you don't want to take a management role and you just choose to stay in business system analyst forever, so this will be what you are expected to get. So anywhere from 73 to 123K. So that's pretty good, I would say. Yeah, it's so this is from my research is pretty much just as much as what a programmer can get. Okay, so interview process. I actually interviewed a couple of business system analyst positions in within Big Four, and where is it? So after Big Four, Capgemini and another manufacturing company. So the interview process is somewhat similar. So first of all, you will get a phone screening with HR. They will tell you, okay, hey, you're selected, and could you tell me a little bit about yourself? And the very simple questions. And usually it will last about half an hour, anywhere from half an hour to an hour. And then the HR will give you a office visit invitation to actually to the company and meet multiple levels of managers and senior managers as well as partners. So the second round is usually the final round, but after that there might be another round of interview. So the office visit is usually, like for me, I did an entire afternoon was usually 4 managers and probably a vice president. So they will each talk to you for about an hour, or sometimes it's 45 minutes. So the content of talking is usually all behavioral. So sometimes if the senior managers wanted to keep it casual, it's probably just a very casual conversation talking about your resume, your working experience, and everything. But if you are interviewing with a very technical manager that wanted to ask you technical questions, yeah, there might be something over there too. And one of the interview that I had for the office visit actually includes a very simple business case. So talking about business case, if you guys have ever prepared for management consulting, so it's pretty much just like the management consulting, the cases, but simpler and more related to IT. So it usually will last like half an hour. And so after they read the case to you, you are going to ask question back, and, they're just testing your thought process. I would say out of probably 3 or 4 BSA interview I've done, they're fairly unintimidating. The interview process is pretty simple compared to all the management consulting interviews that I had. They're so much simpler. And yeah, since they're all pretty much typical behavior questions. And yeah, most of the interviews just wanted to get to know you and see if you would fit with their company. So talking about larger companies, they take their culture very, very importantly. And for if you're interviewing some VP, like he might just ask me about the company culture all day, every day. So how you deal with the conflicts between different between your coworkers, how you actually, manage the team, and how you actually see yourself inside the team and stuff like that. So it's fairly simple, and for a lot of times you can actually find the interview questions with the person who already worked there. You probably already networked with. They will probably be more than happy to tell you what's going to be included in the interview process. Okay, so career paths of BSA. So as you can see over here, if you are right out of school, you can choose. So if you already have your MIS degree, already have your business degree, and you're looking for a business analyst job. So over here, it listed out a lot of different kinds of business analysts, like functional analyst, service requirement analyst, agile analyst, system analyst, business system analyst, business requirement analyst. All of them are actually alias of system analysts. So, you do a business system analyst for about how many years? For about 2-3 years, and then you jump into the roles of senior analysts. So the titles of senior analysts includes all the way from senior process analyst, senior business requirement analyst, senior business system analyst, senior system analyst, senior functional analyst. So anyways, just get paid more by about 20-30K a year. And then after those 2-3 years, so you will expected to choose pretty much 2 routes. One route is stay in the senior business analyst role, probably take a senior associate role, so just stay there. Or you can just jump into a semi-management role. Like, you can take a lead of a small portion of that huge project. You can even manage an engagement if the engagement is small. And then, the senior business system analyst will stay in senior business system analyst. They will be a very important technical asset of the company. But the person who take the management role, became an engagement manager, will have a chance to go all the way up to director, principal, partner, or director, principal, VP, and eventually the C-level. So the C-level management role for business system analyst is usually the chief information officer. So chief information officer. So which is the CIO. Okay. So talking about the practitioners around business system analyst. So there is. Yeah, just like I said, there's a lot of different names of business system analyst, and there's actually a lot of other jobs doing pretty much the same thing as business system analyst, such as system analyst. Some of the business analysts actually does what we do, and some system architect. I actually worked with probably 2 or 3 system architect in our team, and sometimes they help us write the user experience too. And enterprise architect, software architect. So they are, I would say, they're more programming oriented, but they are, they are actually, I would say, half step away from all the programmers or developers. They do it sometimes, but more of what they do is actually more related to system, and compared to the programming. Okay, so I think I've reached the end of this presentation. So if you guys have any questions, comments, observations, something that I've never mentioned, yeah, you guys can go ahead and start asking questions. 这个 part 如果是你们大家就是想用中文的话，可以用中文，我觉得应该是没什么问题的。应该是在你们的那个 webinar 的右下方应该有一个 chat box， 你们可以从那地方提问。如果是没有问题的话，我就再等1分钟。然后如果是没有问题的话，我觉得这个就差不多了。然后我现在把我的 email 留给大家，然后还有联系方式。所以就是欢迎大家就是加我的 WeChat， 或者是就是给我 send email， 或者是加我的 LinkedIn。如果就是有什么问题想私下问的话，或者说你们有什么问题关于IT consulting 的，或者说 或者 business intelligence consulting 的这些问题都可以私下找我来问。所以那这样的话，如果没有问题的话，那我就讲完了。然后非常感谢大家就是这1个小时的支持。然后如果有什么问题的话，请联系 Career Assist。Thank you.